open-ended or just going on and on. And after that,
Thank you.
we concluded.
Thank you very much, Glory Crown, for that insightful recap of what we discussed last time. I want to believe that as refreshing our minds, as without wasting much time, I would want us to delve into the business of today, which we agreed that we'll be looking at the ethical responsibilities to colleagues. So as social workers, we take into consideration our responsibilities to our colleagues. Now, what are these responsibilities? One is respect. One way one of the things we hold so dear as far as the social work profession is concerned is respect. Now, social workers are expected to respect the diverse experience, cultural differences, types, and values of colleagues that are different from their own. So we owe that respect to our our colleagues. Same way we are expected to respect and observe some ethical responsibilities we have towards our clients. We are also expected to have respect for our colleagues. Now, the interesting part of it is this ethical responsibility to our colleagues can never be underestimated because it can as well expose you to malpractice suits. It can also put you in a situation where your conduct can be questioned and you might be asked to withdraw from practice. So it's as serious as it is. So when we talk about respect, it's not just by those movies try to exhibit or try to portray some movies gesture that make it look like okay, we are scared of our serious. But the respect has to do with one of the respect has to do with taking into consideration the cultural differences of our colleagues, the way they choose to dress, their values, their expertise. We want to respect. And one of the ways we respect our colleague is is to allow them demonstrate their experience in area of specialty without necessarily encroaching. Fine. You need to commit and your colleague is into youth and family welfare. Allow your colleague to demonstrate your expertise respectfully, not coaching or trying to do, or make it look like he or she does not know what to do. When it becomes difficult for the right services to be rendered to your clients. We have the client. So when social workers are not working collaboratively, they are not supported, then it becomes difficult to assist the client. So one of the things that will enable social workers to effectively recognize situations is for them to have mutual respect for themselves. For them, can you mute your mic? Can you mute your mic, please? Your background is disturbing us. I don't know if they can hear me at all. Thank you. So a social worker must also be prudent, must be careful on how he or she resolve conflicts arising in relationships and all issues of professional nature with colleagues. And this is expected to be done in a respectful and proactive manner. Now, by proactive, we mean that if there is anything that is likely to result to conflicts, it is expected that you take proactive measures, not necessarily waiting for that conflict or for that problem to present itself before trying to address it. So one way you show respect for your colleague is to kindly address issues in real time before they get out of hand. And no matter how experienced you are as a social worker, you should be open to constructive criticisms. So the fact that you're open to constructive, or the fact that you're experienced, you've been practicing social work for a very long time, does not make you perfect, or does not mean you know it all. So you should, as far as life is concerned, we are open to learning, or we have opportunities of learning every day. So you should be open to criticism, constructive criticism. And you who is criticizing, or you who is trying to call attention, the attention of your colleagues, should do that in a respectful manner. Comments and your conduct should be cordial. It must be evident that you value your colleague. It must be evident that you respect your colleague. Of course, we know that our intentions are not always mean. People don't judge us based on our intentions. We are only judged by our actions. So no matter how nice or good your intentions are, you want to take time to convey your intentions in a way that will be appealing, in a way that demonstrates the fact that you respect your colleague. Another ethical responsibility we have to our colleague is interdisciplinary collaborations. Now, social work is the only profession that tries to see how to draw from multiple professional disciplines, drawing professionals from different backgrounds, leveraging on their expertise to resolve a particular problem. And the fact that you have the clients and you're now calling the attention of other professionals to come and render services in what we call case management, that does not mean that you don't owe respect to these professionals you're calling or you're trying to bring to the table. There must be that interdisciplinary collaboration. Social workers are expected to relate to colleagues from social work and other disciplines with respect. You're a medical social worker, and you notice that, okay, fine, your clients that happens to come to the hospital with evidence of bruises, after a one-on-one interview session, you notice that, okay, she had those bruises because the husband or the wife used to batter her at home. And you now see the need to, okay, after addressing those bruises, you now see the need to call in a social worker who is specialized in family affairs to come into the table. There must be that networking. There must be that interdisciplinary collaboration. There must be a stage at which you refer your clients to the appropriate agency or the appropriate quarters for his or her problems to be addressed. And there must also be provisions for you to come in from time to time to see how these problems can be addressed. Rules which social professionals introduce, and at what time. And this should be done in a way that portrays respect and courtesy. Remember, social work is skill based. Please, about can you mute something? Social workers are expected to operate other social workers from different. This means that the fact that you're a social worker does not mean the position will be modesty on your part to collaborate with your colleagues that discipline, bringing them to the you. Now, social workers are also expected to cooperate with colleagues from other professions to enhance knowledge-based theory, experience, and skills of the profession. Most of our clients' problems are multidimensional, that we need professionals from other disciplines to come to the table to address those issues. Now, the beauty of social work is our ability, our skills to identify which profession or who to bring to the table to address a particular problem. So knowing this and knowing how to bring this set of persons together makes you a professional social worker. So it's not just to have an idea on who to call upon or who to rely on, but after bringing them together, you need to work collaboratively. Mind you, at the center, revolving this client is working around this client. We have the social workers, we have the can you? Thank you. Now, going forward, we'll now be looking at disputes involving colleagues. Naturally, where two people, as far as we have people existing, there's bound to be conflict. There's bound to be friction.
Okay.
Sorry, I need to take off this Abayomi. He's disturbing us. So wherever we find people, there is bound to be conflicts. So as social workers, we envisage conflicts and we try to see how we can take proactive steps to resolve these conflicts, especially conflicts involving our colleagues. Social workers should avoid seeking benefits from disputes. You would agree with me that it's in the nature of some persons to make money or to make name whenever there is a problem. We can see this in social media. Some of the content creators we see, some of the persons we see, influencers we see out there, they make money big time by creating problems. So we don't want to be like that. Our social workers are not expected to act that way. We should avoid taking advantage of conflicting situations to make a name or to make our points, because this will go contrary to the views, the values, the integrity, dignity, and as well as the importance of human relationship. So social workers should not take advantage of disputes between colleagues, especially if your colleagues are having issues, and the best you can do is to resolve that issues amicably rather than take sides just because you're not in terms with a particular colleague. You want to take sides with the other colleague just to run down the other colleague. No. We need to take or understand how important our responsibilities to our colleague is, because like it is often said, when two elephants are fighting, the grass suffers. And in this case, who are the elephants? The social workers. And who happens to be the grass? Our clients. So there is no way we can be fighting in the presence of our clients that our clients will not suffer. And mind you, as a principle or as a value in social work, one of the ethical standards we are expected to observe is the fact that we are not supposed to expose our client to further harm. So if your client comes to you, the first thing after accepting your client, the first thing you're expected to do is to shield your client from whatever danger, whatever problem that happens to bring him or her to you in the first place. So as a social worker, if you fail to further expose your client to harm, then you have failed in practice. So it is inappropriate for social workers to criticize colleagues during the helping process. Some of us, we know how to do too much. Because we feel we are too wise in our eyes, you would see yourself correcting your colleague in presence of your client. You're running down your colleague and you're running down the image of the profession. So please, it is totally out of place to criticize your colleagues during the helping process for any reason, including the intention of projecting the self before client or yourself before your client. Be it your junior colleague or your senior colleague, please, it is inappropriate. Remember, we are still talking about our responsibility to our clients, our colleagues. Incompetence and impairment of colleagues. Now, one of the things that identify us as social workers is our ability to work as team. Social workers are good team players. Yes. So when a social worker have or who have a direct knowledge about a colleague's incompetence or impairment as a result of mental health difficulties, personal problems, substance abuse, and other psychosocial or psychosocial distress, the professional must consult with that colleague. And in this, as social workers, we need to watch each other's backs. Instead of trying to see how we can run others down, we try to watch our backs. We are not like those in the legal field, in the law field, discipline, who are always interested in winning a case. No. We do not win a case as individuals in social work. We win a case collectively. So if you notice that your client is going down the drain, please act quickly. That is your responsibility. In fact, it is even criminal to watch your colleague going astray without trying to extend the helping hand. I will keep repeating this because this is part of the social work profession that it's often neglected. The problems we assist our clients with, the problems that make our clients come to us are problems that are not foreign to humans, are problems that are common to humans, are problems that we can easily identify. And we as social workers are not immune to these problems. They can befall us. There's what we call secondary traumatic stress. There's what we call vicarious trauma. All these are challenges, issues that the social worker is exposed in the course of carrying out his or her responsibilities. So it is possible for a social worker to experience burnout. It is possible for a social worker to be depressed. It is possible for a social worker to have mental health problems. And as such, develop the tendency of abusing substance, which are problems that makes our client comes to us. So whenever you figure this out, and whenever you notice your client is exposing or is abusing substance, is having most of these problems, please You have to consult with that colleague and try to see how you can extend assistance to take appropriate remedies. And when a social worker is of the opinion that the incompetence of a colleague is not in the best interest of a profession and the well-being of the client, the worker has the duty and the responsibility to discuss the matter with the colleague so that a remedial measures can be sought to address such incompetencies. So if I'm a social worker and I'm your colleague, we are working in this emergency, and you notice that I am practicing in a way that demonstrates gross incompetence, then you are at liberty to approach me and discuss other remedial measures on how to address such incompetence by recommending some capacity building programs and helping me to see how I can up my game. Yes, you have that as a responsibility to your colleague. On ethical behavior of colleagues. When a social worker who believes that their colleague have acted unethically, the social worker is expected to volunteer to discuss their concerns with such colleague. So if you see your colleague going astray, do not keep quiet and start laughing or try to say, okay, let me see where this will take him to so that I will laugh. No, take proactive step or take the initiative to discuss this concern with such colleague in the best interest of the profession. Mind you, as far as the social work profession is concerned, our interests does not matter. What matters most is the interest of the profession. That is the big issue, right? So when social workers find that their colleagues are unjustly charged with unethical behaviors, the professionals must assist such colleagues by defending them. Yes, we can always stand for our colleagues. So when we see that, okay, someone is trying to take advantage of our colleague, we must render a helping hand. We must extend a helping hand to such colleague. Referral services or referral for services and consultations. That's another ethical responsibilities we have to our colleague. When a social worker feels that their intervention in a helping process is not yielding the desired result, they must consider referring the client to other professionals. Now, in this part of the world, oftentimes we feel that referring a client to another agency or to your colleague or to another professional is a way of demonstrating your incompetence. No, it is professional. In fact, it is a way of you demonstrating your expertise, your competence. That, okay, fine, you are aware of a particular colleague or a particular agency that is well versed in a particular area that can adequately address the issues of your clients. That would, in effect, demonstrate your level of competence. So don't feel bad to always refer your clients whenever your effort is not yielding results. In fact, it is wrong, totally wrong, for you to conclude that your client is adamant to change or to correction, or your client is not responding to whatever assistance you're giving to your clients. So while trying to assist your client and your client is still remaining the same, it is wrong to conclude that your client is adamant. No. In practice, it is expected for us to say or to look at it this way, that probably the therapeutic measures you've adopted is not enough to address the issue. Therefore, there is need to adjust your pattern. Or could it be that there is a colleague or an agency that can adequately address the issue? Then refer the matter. So when social workers feel that further consultations are needed with other colleagues to help clients, social workers should explore such opportunities, keeping in view the best interests of the clients. Now, There are oftentimes, as social workers, we have the responsibility of supervising our colleagues, or we are saddled with the responsibility of overseeing the activities of a particular agency. We want to be careful to know that we have a responsibility to our colleagues, and having that in mind should help us keep our excesses in check, to avoid harassing our colleagues sexually. For example, social workers engaged in supervising students at coaching centers or institutes or agencies should avoid involving in any sexual activities of any nature with students, with their trainees, with their supervisees, or other colleagues over whom they are exercising professional authority. Sorry, this about me. Why can't you mute your mic?
Okay, sorry.
So, social workers should avoid sexual relations with their colleagues when there are chance of conflict of interest. So, no matter how close, or no matter how, no matter the situation, you want to have this as top of your mind. It is unethical to engage in any sexual relationship with your colleague. So your colleague should not be someone you'll be considering to be your wife or your girlfriend or your husband. So when you go to the office to work, let it be work. And after work, go back home. Because when a social worker anticipates getting involved in sexual relations with his or her colleague, the worker must transfer all professional responsibilities to avoid conflict of interest. So if you feel that, okay, to some extent, you have some chemistry with your colleague, then you have to transfer all professional responsibilities. Right? Going forward, we'll now be looking at the ethical responsibilities in professional practice. So so far, we've talked about our professional responsibility to our clients, our professional ethical responsibility to the clients, ethical responsibility to our colleagues. Now, let us now look at our ethical responsibilities in professional practice. One of the ethical responsibilities we have is education, consultation, and training.
Please, I come again, sir. Please, I come again, sir. Responsibility in professional practice.
Yes, I said one of the ethical responsibilities we have in professional practice is education, consultation, and training. Now, what makes you a social worker? What makes you a social worker is the fact that you are a licensed social worker, is the fact that you have a background.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Okay, Ronald.
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Please, I'm not dragging us back in your lecture. I want to clarify this issue so that you can explain more on it. The issue of ethical responsibility of our colleagues. The last thing, the sexual harassment and the sexual relationship. You made mention about that we don't have to marry our colleagues so that it cannot affect our professional or what. Then I have a question. What if you married a colleague, the two of you are not in the same organization? Is it bad?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hello, sir.
Can you hear me?
No. Your listening is cracking.
Hello, can I be heard now?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Fine. After making that statement, I also made the point that if you anticipate getting involved in sexual relations, then you must transfer all professional responsibilities. For example, and why you're doing this is to avoid conflict of interest. Oftentimes, in social work, there's what we refer to as power dynamics. In fact, we have a lot of powers because in rendering services to our clients, we can assist them make adjustments that, if left on their own, they wouldn't want to settle for those choices. But we expose them to some dangers that if they should go ahead to do what they feel like doing, or expose them to the fact that if they should go ahead to do what they feel like doing, then they'll be exposing themselves to some sort of dangers. Now, developing sexual feelings for your colleague, when you are a supervisor to that colleague, might raise a question in the future. For example, you be the supervisor and you're not trying to establish a sexual relationship with your colleague in the same agency. That relationship might be misinterpreted in the future. A situation whereby it might make it look like, okay, fine, it's because you are her supervisor, or it's because you are his supervisor, that is why he or she accepted. And that is why I concluded that point by saying that if at all you feel that you should develop such feelings for your client, then you must transfer all professional responsibilities. Therefore means you're not expected to still supervise that person you think you want to have sexual relationship with, or you're having sexual relationship. So that supersedes the statement I made earlier that you cannot marry or you should not marry. I said that to check that it is not ideal to develop a sexual relationship or to have a sexual relationship with your colleagues. But if you think it is appropriate or you anticipate, you start thinking, you start developing feelings for a particular colleague, then you have to, first of all, transfer your responsibility, professional responsibilities. Let it not be that, okay, fine, it's because of the fact that you have some form of relative power that is way above the person you're developing feelings for. And possibly you're using that power to subjugate the person to enter into his relationship with you. I don't know if that is clear.
Yes, I've gotten you.
Professional practice. And we said that one is education, consultation, and training. Right? So only those social workers who have direct or who have strictly undertaken studies of theory and practicum courses in social work and have successfully completed PSW and MSW, that is Bachelor of Social Work and Masters of Social Work, and other degrees awarded by a recognized university, which have the approval of University Grants Commission, is expected to undertake professional practice of social work as teachers, consultants, and practitioners. This means that, fine, you can practice social work, but in terms of education, consultation, and training, you must be grounded in social work. It is a responsibility. It is an ethical responsibility. So it's not something you will jump from God knows where to come and start teaching social work or start saying that you're a consultant. Fine, you can work as a social worker, having been licensed as a social worker, having gotten the background or a training in social work. You can be licensed as a social worker and to work in a social work firm or agency. But that does not mean you can take up consultation services. So for you to get to this level, you must, first of all, back a degree. It is an ethical responsibility to the profession, right? Going forward, performance evaluation and recommendation. Social workers who are involved in evaluating the performance of other colleagues, such as adjudication of dissertation, that is the PhD thesis, evaluation of performance appraisal, as well as publication for promotion in career, must do the same in a responsible and fair manner. So this goes to say that if by virtue of you having a relative power over your colleague or over those that are under your supervision, you're expected to do whatever you're expected to do in a fair manner and in a responsible way, not taking undue advantage of the power you have over them to further subjugate them to the background or relegate them to the background. Social workers who have the responsibility of selecting candidates for various programs of study in social work must strictly follow clearly stated criteria. So no matter your level, like yesterday I was discussing with my colleague in the office, there was this issue that came up. And at some point, I called their attention to the fact that we have a laid down a procedure of doing something that has been documented. So going beyond the expanded boundaries of those laid down procedures will be tantamount to going against constituted authority. So no matter who we are not above the professional ethics. We must practice within the professional code of ethics, right? So the agency we find ourselves, we must follow strictly their criteria, their guidelines for making decision or before settling for any choice. Going forward, we'll now be looking at client transfer and record keeping, which is also key when it comes to referral services, because referrals is central to social work and record keeping is also key in social work practice. So when a new client is referred or approaches the social worker, what is expected of the social worker is that the social worker is expected to discuss with the client whether consultations with previous agencies or previous service provider would be in the best interest of the clients. Oftentimes, clients come to a new agency because they want to leave the other agency. They are not comfortable with the agency. It is not because the agency wants to refer them. So if you still want to keep contact with the other agency, then you have to discuss with your clients. Now, while accepting or transferring clients, social workers must ensure that all necessary information pertaining to the clients are shared so that continuity of service will be smooth and beneficial to the clients. However, social workers should ensure that only those informations that are directly relevant to the delivery of services are shared for the purpose of confidentiality, right? And this goes further to emphasize the importance of record keeping. You're working with an agency, it is still possible for you to be transferred from that agency to another agency. It is still possible for you to leave that job to another job. Now, to avoid a situation where they'll be coming after you to tell you, this client you were working with, we did not see this information, please clearly record down all your transaction, all your dealings with a particular client during the course of a professional relationship. And share same information when that client needs to be transferred or referred to another agency, especially if those information are necessary and relevant to the delivery of services to the client. We'll also quickly be looking at the ethical responsibilities as professionals. So far, we've talked about ethical responsibilities to our clients, ethical responsibilities to our colleague, ethical responsibilities to the profession. We'll now be looking at ethical responsibilities as professionals. So the fact that you're trying to assist or trying to render services to the clients does not mean you need to abandon yourself. For you to continue to practice, for you to continue to find a space to practice in social work, then you must adhere to the ethical responsibility as professionals. If not, or failure to do this, you will be unproductive, you end up becoming incompetent, and you might likely not have a space to continue to practice. Now, one of the things you'll be looking at at this level would be professional competence. Now, what is professional competence? As social workers who accept employment or consultation based on possessing required qualification in social work, as well as specific competence in a prescribed area, does not mean your qualification is enough. Now, before you are accepted or employed, you must have some set of qualification, some requirement. You must meet some requirements. Now, after being employed, that does not mean you're not expected to develop yourself. Social workers shall remain proficient in professional practice and are expected to continue to improve their knowledge and their skill base by regularly reviewing professional literatures, participating in continuing education, and this we can do by attending conferences. This we can do by attending workshops, seminars, trainings, and lots more. So it is ethical for a social worker, or it is unethical for a social worker to remain redundant. Just because you feel you're receiving salaries. No problem now. After all, I'm being paid. Now, to checkmate this part of the profession, there are modalities in place to ensure that a social worker continues to renew his or her license. At the end of this program, you will be licensed. It is expected that from time to time, you are expected to renew your license. This is an ethical provision or your ethical responsibility to the profession to continue to invest in your development and to up your game to make sure you keep it in tabs with the development and knowledge base of the profession. Going forward, we'll now be looking at private business and dishonesty. Social workers should not permit their interest in private business of any nature to interfere with the fulfillment of professional responsibilities, both as teachers and practitioners. Now, what this means is, in practice, you should avoid allowing your business to encroach in your professional responsibilities. There are times you are expected to go to work, for example, 9 to 4. Do you abandon or use some part of your time, your office time, your work hour to do your business? Then it is unethical. There are some persons or there are some social workers who probably those who render services in remote areas, the rural social workers, sometimes they stay in township, in urban areas and try to reach out to their clients, and they do this via a telephone, right? And the agency has to subscribe that telephone. No, the purpose for that subscription is for the social worker to use in linking or connecting the clients in rural areas. For example, you might be working with, okay, last week I received a call from one hospital that my cousin went there and used my name as his next of kin and my phone number, that in case his number is not connecting, they should reach out to me. Social workers also do that. We have some agencies where social workers try to reach out to clients to remind them of their next appointments, and also to do a follow-up to know if they are taking their medications the right way. Right? Now, the purpose for this subscription is to reach out to clients. Now, it would be dishonesty on the part of the social worker and unethical to the profession for a social worker to now use such subscription for his or her own personal businesses. Now, keeping in view the core values of social work, social workers shall not associate themselves with fraud, deception, or dishonesty. So you want to be careful not to be associated with fraud, misrepresentation, which will constitute the final part of this part of our ethical responsibility to the profession. Social workers are not expected to make any form of misrepresentation to the client or the employer and the general public. Social workers must ensure that their representations to the clients, employers, and the public of their qualification, experience, authorship, and other credentials are accurate. So by the time you forge documents, some of you are good at, or some persons are good at forging documents, some persons are good at misrepresenting themselves, claiming to be who they are not. Now, it is unethical for a social worker to present himself to the public, for the public to take them for who they are not. Just because you want to make some profit, or just because you want to make some gains, or direct attention to yourself. So we want to be careful to avoid misrepresenting ourselves both directly and indirectly. Our time is up. I would allow us to use the remaining time to see how if we can ask one or two questions and seek out for some clarifications. And when we meet next time, we will now go further to look at other ethical responsibilities we have, which is ethical responsibilities to social work profession, right? So please, any questions so far based on what we've discussed, or based on your personal study, please feel free to unmute your mic and speak. I want to believe you can hear me clearly. The floor is open for question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ape, Rosemary.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. My question is based on the ethical responsibility as a social worker working in an organization. You know, you said that we should always be going for seminar and even renewing our license. If you have the urge to go for a seminar and the boss in the office refuse to sign you for the seminar, so as a social worker, what will you do to ensure that you attend that seminar? In particular office you are working with. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much for that. Nice question. Please, do we have any audience? Can anyone address that question?
Hello, sir.
Yes. Right? Did I pronounce that name correctly?
Hello, sir.
Adewale Adefunke. Did I pronounce it correctly? Oh, sorry, it's off. All right. I was asking, can anyone attempt to address that question asked by Rosemary Ape?
It's breaking. Maybe you can repeat the question.
Okay. Olamide, did you hear her clearly? You want to react to it?
I didn't hear the question well. The network was breaking. Maybe she can repeat the question.
You can hear me clearly. Okay. she said she asked.
Sir.
You say what? Hello. Okay.
The question is that in case you want to go for a seminar, since seminar is good for social worker, that in case you want to go for seminar and the board at top did not permit her from course, how can she do? That was the question.
Is that clear now? Did you get the question?
If you want to go for a seminar and I didn't get that very well. Is he talking about the costs?
What
the network is bad.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Okay, sir, go ahead, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir, yes, sir.
Workshop because of the importance of this workshop and seminar in building his or her capacities, but his boss in his place of work refused to sign or allow him or you as a social worker to attend these seminars. What would you do as a social worker? That's happening.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, I would like to look at it from an angle that what is it or the kind of activity that will not allow a boss to allow maybe a subordinate or a colleague to attend a seminar. We need to look at the activity that is surrounding that kind of decision. Then I will also suggest maybe we have a discussion. Let's see how we can work it out. Maybe in the process of her going for the seminar, maybe another person in the organization can take over or do what she will have to leave to attend the seminar. I want to believe there could be a roundtable discussion on that and make him or her to see the reasons for attending that seminar, because by coming back from the seminar, you are going to be a blessing more to that organization. Your game will have been so upped that you will discharge your duty in a more professional way. So I want to believe that by the time there is a one-on-one discussion with that boss, making him or her to see reasons, making him or her to see the advantage of attending a seminar, and looking at somebody that can stand in while you are away, I think you should be able to agree for you to attend. Thank you, sir.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello,
Hello.
sir. Sir, my hand is up. Oh. Now my hand is up. My hand is up.
Someone was actually speaking, but then
Hello?
you can go. You can
Hello?
go on, please.
Okay. The question.
Proceed.
Hello, sir.
Mr. Roland, we can hear you. Please go on.
Okay. It's a diverse question in the sense.
Please speak and remember, consider our time. Our time is up.
Yeah.
This meeting will soon be cut off.
A social worker working in a social environment, and they have a seminar somewhere to attend in order to equip him or her more. Then he or she informed his superior that he's going for that seminar. there's one way to that. One, if the seminar organizers send an invitation to such organization that they want them to attend, I shouldn't see reason why the boss will refuse. That is number one. Number two is this. Some of the organizations where we, the social workers, work, they don't have that contact of sending their workers to seminars on their own. So if there was an invitation, official invitation to such organization that they should attend a social a seminar, I don't see the reason why the board will refuse when an official invitation has been given to his organization or her organization. He should allow the social worker there to attend such seminars.
Hello, Mr. Ronald. Thank you very much for your contribution. For the sake of time, let's see how we can round it up. Right? We appreciate your input. You're right. One of the ways of addressing it is the professional body writing to your agency to release you and them to see how they can create opportunities for their staff to be allowed to attend seminars and workshops from time to time for the purpose of capacity building. In fact, in some agencies, they make provisions to ensure that they train their staff. There is what we refer to as in-service training, right? Like someone earlier said, the purpose for this training would, in the end, it will serve a purpose to the agency, to be useful to the agency. And as if that's not enough, social work is a profession that is known to have a licensing body. For example, in the hospital setting, where the person that asks that question works, we have doctors, we have nurses, we have pharmacists, we have lab technicians. They also have licensing bodies. So it is not possible that for that your boss to deprive you of attending seminars and workshops and even renewing your license when he or she knows the implication of not renewing your license. In fact, you can be sacked. In fact, you can even hinder your promotion, the speed of your promotion, if your license are not renewed and if you fail to build or develop yourself. So your boss is aware, or if he's not aware, if you happen to find yourself in an agency where your boss is not aware, that is why I keep saying that as social workers, you need to know your onions. Wherever you're practicing, you need to keep your heads up high and keep yourself there and let those around you know your worth, know the value of social work. And once you've succeeded in doing this, they will accrue the necessary respect and regard for the profession. And whenever you're saying this, especially if you say you want to go for seminar or whatever, and your licensing body is writing to your boss, definitely he would oblige. Okay? I am trying to see how we can round up without being cut off, right? Thank you, and thank you for everyone. We enjoy your contributions and your reactions to questions, and those who ask questions, your questions were meaningful and we enjoy them.
Thank you, sir.
We will stop here today. When we meet next time, we'll be looking at other ethical responsibility, which has to do with ethical responsibility to work institution. Please, our advice, at your own spare time, read wide. When you come, whenever we are discussing, our conversation, our discussion, our class will be interactive. And a lot of questions that will give me opportunity to learn more. Okay? Take care and enjoy the rest of it.
Thank you, sir. Nice weekend, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We enjoyed your class.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.